Welcome back to Sports Dump, Lewis County's only sports podcast, sponsored by Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery, Goebel Septic, and AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. I'm Aaron Vantile, joined tonight by Chronicle sports editor Alec Dietz and Chronicle sports reporter Josh Kirschenbaum. And fellas, are we in the end game yet? Can we say that?
We're always in the end game.
We've been in the end game for weeks.
I don't think
it's a long end game.
Understand what the end game really
entails. The end game is like do or die. Win or go home. It's been that way for a while.
I guess if you lose, then it was your end game, wasn't it?
It's been the end game for a lot of teams that we will get into.
For several weeks now. Before we run through our game-by-game recap of the state playoffs, do you guys have any teams that are no longer playing that you want to say something nice about?
Will we not get into that when we recap the playoffs?
Yeah, we are. I didn't really think this part through.
Okay.
You know what? Here we go.
21 guns.
Let's do it.
I see you've got your hand dangerously close to the soundboard.
He's ready. His fingers are twitching over there.
I know.
Can't stop moving.
All right, we'll start with the 2A playoffs. WF West 29, Ephrata 28. First round to state.
It's a doozy.
Bearcats' first win in a state playoff game since 2011. That was the year they made the state semifinals, I believe. I think they lost to Linden.
Yeah, it's the only time they've ever made the semifinals before, so they've got to crack at that again this week.
What a magical year that was. WF West
my bar mitzvah? What?
Was that? Yes, it was the year the Bearcats blossomed as lovers. 2-seed WF West was down 28-21 to 15-seed Ephrata in the fourth quarter, and on the 2-yard line, Tucker Land ran it in to tie things up, and then they went for two and ran the same play, and they got it. So you'd love to see that. Tucker Land had 105 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. Gavin Fugate hit 14 of 27 passes for 149 yards and threw a touchdown to Gage Brumfield. And were you guys at this one? What happened?
I was, yeah.
And?
Yeah. Everything you said happened.
Well, I should hope so.
Alec can't remember anything else.
It sounds like I did a good job writing this gamer because you weren't there and you just kind of described it. Yeah, it was just a slog. Ephrata looked super hungry. You know, I think the trek was that's a 6-hour drive for them or something like that. So they got in and kind of took it to the Bearcats for a while, and it needed a kind of a ballsy call from Dan Hill to gut that one out, and they did.
I love going for two.
I like it. They very decisively scored the touchdown. Like it was 4th and 2 after like a snap exchange issue, and then they ran a pitch to Land to the right, and he like walked in. And I think Dan Hill was just like, screw it, I'm going to do the same exact thing. And they did, and he walked in again. And it was like, I mean, you just cannot argue with that. So.
So why don't they just make the whole plane out of that stuff? Like, why were we calling any other play for the first 4 quarters?
Run this until it stops working.
Yeah, I agree. It's a fantastic call. Good for the Bearcats. Any other thoughts on WF West thus far?
They probably need to play a little bit better if they want to win this week.
Yeah.
I was talking to Dan Hill this morning or last night about it, and he honestly didn't sound too unhappy with the way he played. He made it sound like they played a decent game and just had a couple untimely turnovers.
He spoke very highly of Ephrata. He even heading into the week, like it wasn't just we barely beat them. They're better than a 15 seed. Like heading into the game last week, he said this is a team that looks way better than the normal 15 seed, and they were taking them seriously. So,
all right. Elsewhere on the 2A bracket, number 10, Cedro Woolies 30, number 7, Tumwater 22. The earliest postseason exit by a Tumwater team in over 10 years. And fellas, is Bill Beatty on the hot seat?
No.
Okay. Well, Cedro Woolley was up 30-7 in the first half. Carlos Matheny ran for 100 yards for Tumwater, and Alex Overbay ran in 1 touchdown and threw for another. But that's an upset. I think Tumwater was looked at as maybe misseeded a little bit at 7. I know the vibe I got from you guys was that maybe they should be higher than that, but it turns out maybe not.
Well, I think both of those teams were pretty underseeded.
Yeah.
Like you looked at that Cedro Woolley team who's lost 2 games to Linden and Anacortes. And that Linden loss was, I think, a 3-point loss. Like these were two teams that could have definitely been top 5 seeds. Okay. That somehow drew a first-round matchup against each other. I think it's a weird year for Tumwater. Like, obviously the result speaks to itself. I mean, but it's Tumwater, and you go 9-2, and that's a down year. with losses to the best WF West team in a decade and a very good Cedro Woolley team. It's going to be interesting for them. I mean, they didn't have a ton of seniors this year. They were replacing a lot, but those seniors that they did have were really important. You looked at some key pieces on the line that never really got to play a full season together, and they struggled. They're going to have to replace their quarterback. They've got a lot of sophomores that are going to be juniors next year. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back.
All right. And finally, the other local game on the 2A bracket. Black Hills' run comes to an end against Linden, 54-7. Black Hills was, of course, the 16 seed, Linden the number 1. Travis Carson had a 24-yard touchdown for Black Hills in the second half. They finished the season did they finish 7-4?
Yeah.
I thought they were 1-8.
They won last year? Yeah, they were 1-8
for
last
God's sakes. You're misleading headlines.
It's not misleading.
Yellow
1-8
journalism.
to state.
God.
That's what they said. That was like their chant.
I read just the headline and thought they were 1-8 at some point this year.
You
know
are
what?
part of the problem.
I absolutely am.
Someone needs to teach media literacy.
You're right. I would take it. Brant
No, you
Hepner. No. Brant Hepner passed for 2 touchdowns and ran one in for Linden, and Lane Hiringa had 2 rushing touchdowns. Do you guys want to say something nice about Tumwater or Black Hills?
I mean,
we're bidding them goodbye.
I'll say it again. I think Black Hills season, hell of a season from Black Hills. If you look at where that program was last year, and to get that turnaround in a year, like, I think it was striking to me how many of the coaches we cover who are like, you talk to them and they're like, oh, we're not really that good. Oh, we could be better. We're imperfect. There's so many things we could do better. And talking to Garrett Baldwin from day one, he's like, no, we can be a good football team. Like, just because we were 1-8 last year, we have the guys turned around. And I think that confidence really sparked them into having a pretty darn good season.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess speaking for Tumwater, I think just like what Josh alluded to is like, they're such a program that this is considered a down year for them. That's, I mean, that speaks to it in of itself. They're a very competent football program with, I'm sure they will be plenty motivated next season. And I would not count out that football team anytime soon, obviously.
Yeah, Tumwater has a long record of, excellence. You know who else has a long record of excellence?
Oh, jeez.
Our friends at Goebel Septic Service.
You call them when you're too cold, right?
Shh.
We have internet now.
Oh, damn.
This family-owned and operated company has been in service since 1979, serving Thurston County, Lewis County, Mason County, Cowlitz County, and Grace Harbor County. Their customer satisfaction has been the key to their successful relationship with the local and regional communities. Goebel Septic is your trusted resource for all things septic. You want to learn more? You can visit goebelseptic.com, Goebel septic.com, or give them a call, 360-736-2167. Moving on to the 1As, Mountain Baker 37, Tenino 26. This was another 7-10 matchup. Tenino was the 7 seed. The Beavers lost 1A Evergreen MVP Dylan Spicer pretty early, first drive.
Yeah.
He had a recently injured knee that got banged up. He missed the rest of the game. Cody Strawn threw for 1 touchdown, ran in another one, and then Kyson Knox had an interception and a touchdown. The Beavers finished the season 9-2. Overachieve, underachieve, do what they thought they'd do. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think with just the prevailing message was, I mean, Aaron, you've been around, this county and South Thurston County for a long time, and a Tenino team that took 2 straight trips to state, won a game at state a year ago, and is feeling disappointed. If I would have told you that 5 years ago,
Tenino goes
I'm
9-2
sure you would
and
have
is
been
not
shocked.
happy with it.
I would have, yeah. They've really turned things around. Kerry Nagel's been there for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that now.
6th or 7th, yeah.
And they started a little rocky early in his tenure, and they've built themselves into the program I think they aspire to be. I'm sure they'd like to go a little further, but there's next year. There's the future.
I think that, and again, it just speaks volumes. The fact that they're disappointed about a result like this just speaks to the changed expectations that were there. So I don't think they over or underachieved. I think they probably finished right about, where I expected them to be. I think we talked about this on last week's podcast. 1A from 1 to 10 is just a crapshoot.
Yeah.
1-12, because you saw the 12 seed upset the 5 and the 11 seed upset.
Oh, we'll get to that. Don't worry.
So, but that's what I mean. It's just like it's a crapshoot. And Baker was coming in as the hottest team in the state. I still think they are. They looked really, really good. I mean, they could make a run to win the whole thing. I would not be surprised at all. And Tenino just, it's hard to tell, but losing your MVP at the very beginning of the game. I mean, certainly they're not going to be making a bunch of excuses about that, but I do think Dylan Spicer probably makes a big difference in that game, especially defensively, even more than offensively. They had a hard time containing outside runs, and they got beat in a couple pass plays. So, but good season for the Beavers. It's been fun kind of watching them grow from this team that, was aspiring to be like this, because entering last year, I remember Takar Hickel said, we want to be a program that's like not scared of those big games anymore. And, we're not be intimidated. And then, to beat Montesano in back-to-back years, and who knows how long they've done that. You probably couldn't even recall.
I cannot, no.
Make state back-to-back years. They won a co-league championship this year. They've had the league MVP the past 2 years. Got to be proud of where the seniors left that program.
How were they set for seniors this year? Is it they got a lot of underclassmen playing, or
no? A lot of seniors, big senior class. Kerry Nagel insists that he has a good young group coming up. And I think the good thing is that their system is their core is there, right? They know what they want to do. Other youth football leagues probably know what they're getting into, where previously they didn't really. So I think now that system's in place, we'll see what they look like next year. I wasn't surprised they were this good this year. I think some people probably were, that they kept it up. But the real test will be, once you lose like all of your backfield instead of just Takara Hickel, and you lose like 3 starters on the defensive line and 2 linebackers. So it'll be interesting to see what they look like in the future.
All right, moving on to the 2Bs. Onalaska 30, Coopville 14. This was Saturday in Oak Harbor. You guys were both there, right? You went up to Oak Harbor, took the ferry, you know?
Someone asked me if I was going.
Josh, you didn't want to just take the ferry over from your summer home in Seattle?
No. Come on, he was at the summer home in Yakima.
Palm Springs of Washington.
Right. Your summer home just outside Yakima in like Natchez or whatever. Onalaska 30, Coopville 14. Rodrigo Rodriguez ran for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. Case McGraw had a pick 6 in the fourth quarter, I think, that kind of wrapped things up.
Yep.
You think? It says that on the notes.
Yeah, it does. It kind of wrapped things up. I can't remember.
Reading is hard.
Yeah. Well, I read it a long time ago this morning. Anyway, the Loggers were the 10 seed. Coopville was the 7 seed. In all 3 brackets, we're worried about the 10 seed beat the 7 seed.
And look at Ani.
Hot seat? Seating committee?
No.
All right. The Loggers have only 1 senior on the roster, too, and they are in good shape. Maz talked about the great defensive effort in the story, which I read.
Which I wrote.
Coopville did have... Thank you. There you go. Yeah, here it is.
That's a long one.
I know. Coopville did have 309 yards of offense and only 2 touchdowns, so a little bit of a, maybe a bend not break situation there.
Some key turnovers.
That's the thing that's been plaguing Ani usually all year, right? They usually have
the long drives and then the one mental lapse.
Get stalled out, so good to see them do that to somebody else.
Flip the script, yeah. I think they were kind of licking their chops against a team that hadn't been in the state playoffs in 2 decades and
somehow drew a 7 seed.
Right, and was hosting, not perennial powerhouse, but a very recent powerhouse.
Well, Coopville did come in with a 7-1 record.
With 2 wins over LeConner. And
yeah, I think we talked about this. They beat like Sultan, La Jolla, Friday Harbor.
Yeah.
They weren't playing, the Alabamas of the 2Bs.
They weren't playing no Adna, that's for sure.
No.
Or Kayaka. They did not have to go to Kathlama.
They did not.
They didn't play the old Wacos.
Didn't even go to Stevenson. I mean,
come on. Ani went to Stevenson.
Yeah, Ani did. They went to Stevenson, Orville. They'd go anywhere for a game. Please, just play us. 4 quarters. All right, and then number 5, Toledo, 48. Number 12, Kittitas, 21. This was down in Kelso. Toledo scored 28 straight in the first half to take control. Jeffrey Glass had 155 yards and 3 touchdowns on 25 carries. Ethan Carver had 2 first-half touchdowns for 49 yards. And Zane Zane
I
Raney.
think it's Rainey. I don't know for sure.
Well, either way,
Sorry,
he
Zane.
Raney for 63 yards. Quarterback Austin Norris, 61 yards and a score. He also threw a touchdown pass. Toledo,
Yeah, baby.
looking
Always.
pretty good.
Shocker. Toledo's figuring it out in November.
Yeah. Toledo looking pretty good. Anything I missed on that one?
Kittitas had their quarterback was like the one focal point, like everybody talked about. I think his name was Rosebach or something.
Josh Rossback.
Rossback.
Yeah.
Rossback, yeah. They were really, really worried about him. They brought in Wyatt Neff to be their fake him on scout team. I think it was their first drive. He uncorked like a 70-yard touchdown pass, so they actually took like an early 7-0 lead, and then Toledo just hit its stride offensively and salted it away. And Mike Christensen said he would have taken the bye, but this was momentum, and they got out of it without anybody getting hurt. So they're feeling good as they go back across the mountains for the 20th time in the past 2 years, it seems like.
All right. I've got a few notes on the brackets to discuss. In the 2As, the only upset was Cedar Woolley, the 10 seed, beating Tumwater. The closest game thus far in the 2As, WF West Ephrata, 1-point game.
Yeah.
Only 1-point
Worrisome
game.
for District 4.
Yeah. So, they are the last District 4 team, aren't they? Is there anybody else still in it?
Black Hills lost. Washougal. Who did Washougal?
Washougal in it?
They lost to Highline.
Okay, then yeah.
What about the top seed from the JSHL? Oh, that was Washougal.
That was Washougal.
Yeah,
no.
Washougal did lose to Highline 30-27. So WF West,
Deontay
the lone representative.
Whereas
they didn't perform all that great.
Whereas
last week.
the Northwest out in District 1 had 3 teams, and all of them won handily. 4 teams. Linden, Anacortes,
Anacortes.
I think only 3.
Cedro.
Yeah. All right.
Are any of them playing each other this week?
Anacortes North Kitsap, Cedar Woolley WF West, Othello, Enumclaw, and Highline Linden.
Yeah, you're going to get 3 District 1 teams. You have the possibility of Cedro can pull another offset.
That North Kitsap Anacortes game is going to be interesting too.
Yeah.
And the 1A bracket, the 11 seed Kashmir upset number 6 La Center.
Chaos.
The number 10 Mount Baker upset number 7 Tenino. Number 12
chaos.
Freeman upset number 5 Kings. And Montesano, the 8th seed, held on for a 24-22 win over number 9 at Toppenish, which was the closest game of the first round.
So also, yikes, District 4.
Yeah.
Well, 2 teams won. Monty and Edenville.
Yeah.
That's what you want. I mean,
2 losses and the close win.
yeah. Well, you get 2 wins, 2 losses, and one of them was close in the 8-9 matchup. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Edenville won pretty handily.
Yeah, the 5, 6, 7 matchups, or like those seeds all losing, like those are your middle seeds. You just kind of jumble teams up and get good matchups. And
It's also a fairly chaotic year
it's
in
complete
1A.
chaos.
So I'm not surprised Freeman won. Their quarterback is a stud, Bone Phelps. I mean, he tore apart Tenino last year.
What's his name?
Bone Phelps.
Hell yeah.
I thought you said Bone Thugs, and I was like, hell yeah.
Bone Phelps.
Bone suck.
No, he's a stud. That dude is a dude. Like he's good. I'm not surprised they won.
All right, and then the 2B bracket, the only first round upset, number 10 Ani beating
In
number
quotes.
7 Coopville.
It's in air quotes.
Yeah,
In
I
air
guess there
quotes,
were only 4
there were
first
4
round games
games.
as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like the 2Bs.
Yeah.
No close games in District 4 winning.
Yeah.
I think the Coopville Ani game was close for a bit before Ani kind of pulled away.
How much did RSB win by?
Raymond South Bend won 22-7.
Pretty handily.
Low scoring, but handle.
Yeah, they were all 2 touchdown games at least. Liberty Spangle beat Riverview 28-14. Toledo, of course, blew out Kittitas. And then, yeah, Ani there. So, in the 1Bs, the committee did a phenomenal job. There was not a single first-round upset. And number 8 Nacelle destroyed number 9 Almira Cooley Heartline 64-6.
That felt good for them.
Yeah, I bet they enjoyed that.
Yeah, now they get to play Odessa, right?
Yep.
That's fun.
Yeah. Was that Nacelle game also the closest 1B game?
No, the closest 1B game was number 7 Welpinit beating number 10 Pomeroy 26-22.
Okay.
What is it with these low scoring 8-man games?
I like it.
Well, they weren't all
Give me
low
some
scoring.
defense.
defense in an 8-man game.
I think defense in an 8-man game is just
say with
missing
such
passes.
scorn.
I mean,
I say it was scoring too.
DeSalle won with 54 points. Liberty Bell won with 62 points, and Nacelle won with 64 points. So these aren't like super low scoring. Well, how you guys setting for furniture? Who wants to talk about their home life?
I'm looking
Alec,
okay.
you sat down to watch The Northman today.
Last night. Yeah.
What were you sitting on? You got a nice living room set?
It's a futon couch. It doubles as like a crappy bed.
It is a very crappy bed.
It's not great.
I can attest to that.
It was cheap. It works.
Well, you know where you'll find something better to sit on while you watch The Northman, or maybe another
AmeriCool,
piece
heating
of
and
your-
cooling.
another piece of your beautiful physical media collection. Elam's Home Furnishings and
that
Mattress
one.
Gallery.
Physical media collection.
Yeah, you know you've got like the Steelbook set, don't you?
No, I
A lot of
watched on
Blu-rays.
Amazon Prime.
Oh, sure, whatever.
I have whatever.
You know what you need?
I'm not trying to interrupt this
Bladen 2-piece sectional.
Yeah.
Signature designed by Ashley. Look at this thing. It's
Ashley.
like black leather, nice.
Ashley who?
Ashley
Just Ashley.
Furniture Company.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Low price of $1,229. You could fit all your friends on this thing. You could have Josh over. You guys could, you could each have like one section of the sectional.
Yeah.
Just hang out, watch Josh's favorite movie.
The UW working game.
Yeah. Beat up film.
Game. Anyway, if you too need a nice big couch for you and your buddies, visit Elam's Home Furnishings and Mattress Gallery at 1530 South Gold Street in Centralia. You can check them out online, elamshf.com, or give them a call, 807-1211. How about some other sports going on? What's happening there? How's soccer?
There's only one team left. Tumwater. They're playing in the
How's
semis.
Tumwater doing?
They're playing in the semis against River in a District 4 title game rematch. It's the semis, so
It's the first time Tumwater's ever made the semifinals, which I was a little surprised to learn.
yeah.
Good for them.
They've looked pretty good. I think their first round game. Who was that against?
Sammamish.
They scored. It was like 5-2.
Yeah, they
something.
scored 2 goals early this time.
3-0 shutout over
3-0. It took a little bit of time, but they just wore them down. Brett Bartlett said they were making Linden's wingers cry with how hard they were running.
I'm sure that's what he said. And then, so Tumwater's the only team left alive in soccer. Both Adna and Onalaska were the only other teams we had that made state in 2B, and both of them got knocked out in the first round. Ani, in particularly excruciating fashion.
Tell me more.
I sent the video in the Slack. Did you not see it?
Yes, but this is a
Yeah, but
podcast,
it was a
Alec.
small, grainy video, and it was on Slack.
You got to watch it because, it's tough.
What happened?
It's tough.
Go for it.
How do I even
They
describe
lost
it?
1-0 to Highland, right?
Yeah, so they lost on a golden goal in overtime, which is sudden death. And basically they cleared a ball and it went back to probably one of the, they played Highland, not Highland. And I think probably one of the midfielders sent it back into the box and another Highland player kicked it towards the goal as hard as she could, made contact with an Ani player's head.
Ouch.
So that Ani defender went down and it bounced back right to the foot of another Highland player who kicked it in for the game winner.
Well, everybody was looking at the girl who had just gotten
Belted.
bashed in the head.
Yes.
Was the girl okay?
She got up.
She got an assist.
Hey, wow, it's harsh.
Anyway, tough loss for Ani. Adna had lost. They gave up a goal in the 25th minute to
They
Tenasket.
lost, 1-0. Okay.
Was Ani mad? I know it is kind of a new thing. Referees, when somebody gets hit in the head, you are supposed to make sure they're all right. That's the one thing you can stop the game for.
Yeah, I don't know. It probably all happened so fast that you can't stop the game.
Especially because looking at that video, I think the Onalaska goalkeeper didn't even. It looked like she didn't really realize that somebody was shooting at her because
I think she did late and she kind of made a jump attempt, but it was
It was
they were
my
definitely,
teammate is on the
frazzled.
ground.
Yeah, right in front of me. So anyway, tough, very tough loss to lose like that in overtime for Ani. And then Adna gave up a goal in the 26th minute and just couldn't get on on the board to even it up or take the lead. That's kind of plagued them against some of the better teams. But good seasons for them. I think not many people expected either Ani or Adna to be in this position again this year. Ani replaced pretty much their entire team except for Brooklyn Sandridge, and she kind of willed them as the lone senior on the team.
Yeah.
To that first round game. She really improved over the course of this year. I think the one nice thing I'd really say about Ani is Brooklyn Sandridge. You could tell that she put in time, and I think she's with the Twin Cities United club teams. And she really improved a lot this year. She beat a lot of teams with just her speed last year, but you could tell her footwork and her crosses were really on point. She was much improved.
Right.
And then Adna, they also lost a bunch of seniors from the state runner-up season a year ago, but came back and won league and got a league MVP in Carly Von Moose and finished as district runners-up again and just lost in the first round of state. So good seasons for both those teams.
Right. Kalama is the one District 4 team still alive, and they will play St. George's at Renton Memorial Stadium on November 18th, Friday.
Yep.
Friday night, and then the finals are Saturday at 5 o'clock at the same place. And let's see, volleyball.
So much volleyball.
A lot of volleyball. Josh, you were in Yakima.
I'm subbing out of this.
I was in Yakima.
How was Yakima?
That's Palm Springs, Washington, baby.
Yeah. Did you go to do a little wine tasting? And
No.
what's your problem, man?
Too much volleyball.
Mossy Rock, they got second.
They did. They had a pretty decent run at it. They were not at 100%, and it showed, especially when it came late. I mean, yeah, they swept through their first 3 matches. I think I covered so much volleyball; it all ran together. They swept through their first 3 matches. The first 2 were very easy, despite them sort of being a half step off. And then once they got to the semifinals on Friday, they had a one close set against Mary Walker, and then they really kind of kicked it into gear. And talking to them afterwards, it was kind of like a notion of, at this point, teams are going to score against you. Like, you're not going to win every set 25-5 or 25-10.
Yeah.
You got to be able to, that was a good experience to sort of deal with the other team, being able to score points on you. And they still pulled out a sweep, and they felt really good going into the championship match where they got another shot at Oakdale, sorry. And Oakdale was also much improved, as they found out, and they just got hammered in the first 2 sets. They kind of couldn't figure out what to do. They couldn't, their serve receive was just completely off. They couldn't get into really any sort of offensive rhythms. I think the first set they were down 7-1. The second set they were down 10-1 early, and they got it going in the third set, but it was too late. Oakdale has some very, very, very good hitters, and it was just anytime Mossy Rock put a free ball over the net, it was coming down hard and fast.
Yeah.
So, second straight year in 1B, finishing second place. They've finished second 5 of the past 6 years at their various classifications, and the one other one they finished third. So,
Pretty good run.
But they're gonna go another year looking for finally taking that last step.
All right. Adna finished 5th, and Napavine was eliminated, 1 game shy of the trophy round?
Yes. So Napavine was stuck in that quadrant that was just all District 4. So they lost to Tudor Lake in their first match. They came back against Forks. They actually had to come back. Forks looked good. I was surprised by that. Forks almost took a set from Kalama, I think, when that was the 16-1 game in the first round, and I think Kalama won that first set 25-20 something. Like, it was way closer than I expected. And then Forks came back in their second round and took the first set over Napavine. And talking to Monica Daly afterwards, she was like, "Yeah, they're way better than they were to start this year." But Napavine came back and they sort of got their feet going. They got their energy behind them in that match, and that got them through playing to Friday. And they got one more match against Tri-Cities Prep, which was the team that Adna faced in the first round, and they just couldn't keep it going. they had a hard time putting like complete sets together. There were just a few too many times where one thing kind of snowballed into another and they'd give up 2 or 3 points in a row.
Yeah.
Adna looked almost as shaky in their second round game. So they beat Tri-Cities Prep, and then they faced Colfax. And this was the thing we were talking about, the 2B bracket. First of all, there was that quadrant that was just all D4.
Terrible.
Which was terrible. And then we got to the semifinals and realized and saw that the 1 through 4 seeds were all like, it was the right 4 seeds, the right 4 teams, and they were completely out of order. Because both, so the semifinals went chalk, and then 3 beat 2, 3 Laconer beat 2 Manson decisively, and then 4 Colfax beat number 1 Kalama pretty decisively.
Yeah.
And then I guess Laconer beat Colfax in the championship game, but Manson beat Kalama in the third place game. And Colfax was probably the hottest team. Colfax and Laconer were the hottest 2 teams, and that Colfax team was who Adna ran into in the second round, and it just was not particularly close. That Colfax team was really good, and they had I forget her name, but they have a 1 sophomore who has to be 6'3", 6'4".
That'll help.
And yeah, when she rotated into the front row, it was just like, yep, that's 3 or 4 points right there. So yeah, that dropped Adna to the 5th place bracket, where they faced Toutle Lake because of the D4 crossover. They got to beat Toutle Lake for the 3rd time this season.
4th. Oh yeah,
No, they
played
lost
him
one.
for the.
They played him for the 4th time. They finished 3-1 against them, and then they got deep breath: Lind, Ritzville, Sprague, Washtenaw, Harrington,
You're missing one, right?
Colotis,
That's all they got
Odessa,
listed on the
Moses Lake,
abbreviation here.
Munchkinland, Mordor. And they looked real bad to start. They lost the first set 29-27 in controversial fashion when
Somebody kicked a ball off one of the players' heads, and then they kicked it back through the goal.
no, they had set point. It was 20. They were up 25-24, and the Lurch coach argued something and got a yellow card, which is a thing in volleyball, I learned.
I did not know that.
And then they called a timeout, and then they spent the timeout arguing the yellow card for a good 5 minutes, and basically pulled the equivalent of faking an injury and just completely iced the server. So they made the Adna, I don't even remember who was serving, but they made her go 5 minutes between serves, and she promptly, as soon as and it was really funny watching because they all huddled up in the timeout, and then the teams came back, and then the Lind Ritzville captain kind of walked over to the referee, and then the refs went and huddled up, and then they went back, and then the coach went and walked over to the second referee, and then they all huddled, and then they came back.
Shenanigans.
And so the poor Adna girl who had to serve got the ball thrown to her 5 times, and then had to give it back, and then she finally got to serve, and she put it into the net.
Tough.
So that lost them, then they went and lost the set, and then they got just blown out in the second set, and you kind of thought that was over. And then they found their spark, and they ripped off 3 straight set wins, and they took 5th. It was the first time Adna's ever taken trophies in back-to-back years because they got 8th last year, and they got 5th this year. So they are in a period of great success.
All right, great. And that was Talking Volleyball. Oh,
With
Black
Josh
Hills,
and only Josh.
with Josh explaining volleyball rules and regulations. Black Hills is also going to state.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the 2As.
When's that? This week?
That's this
That
week.
is this week. Yeah, since
Going back, Yakima?
I don't think so.
probably not. We got a lot going on. I think if there were more than one team.
Yeah, WF West had an outside chance. If they had made it, we probably
WF
would've gone.
West was in a winner to state game against Mark Morris and got swept in competitive sets, but got swept. Tumwater and Black Hills played again in the winner to state game. They did the same thing last year, but Tumwater won. So
Yeah, this time Black Hills won. I think
kind of cool that Black Hills flipped it on them a little bit there.
It's the first time they're going back to state since 2017, I think. And that match wasn't close. I was surprised by that.
Yeah,
Tumwater
they
won the-
dominated. I was surprised too. They got the 16 seed, which is a bit surprising to me.
Yeah. And guess who number 16 Black Hills gets to play?
Number 1,
Linden.
yes. It's kind of
Where have I seen this before?
Oh, that's just rude.
But anyway, so, and then another thing to mention is Centralia got knocked out in the pigtail match against R.A. Long at home. They lost that think that was in 4 sets.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the little 2A volleyball brief.
Yeah. Linden at one's an interesting thing. That was Columbia Rivers, the defending state champs. They just ran through this entire season. I think they were undefeated, and then
But Ridgefield beat them in 5.
They played Ridgefield in the district championship and won in 5 very close sets.
Those teams are really
they are so good.
I watched the beginning of the WF West Ridgefield game, and like WF West just had their eyes like wide open at every hit. They were just like astounded at how fast and hard the balls were coming at them. I mean, they were like shell shocked. And then they faced Hawkinson later in the day, and they're like, oh, this is kind of like more our speed.
That was the fun part. I think the best time for me in Yakima was after my first round. I had 2 8 a.m. games on Friday, and then Mossy played 11:45, and then I had like an hour off. And just in the stands, and on one court, it was the 2B semifinals. So in one court, it was Kalama, Colfax, and right behind it was LeConnor, Manson. And it was just like, oh, this is fun volleyball. Like, these are the 4 best teams in the state just hammering at each other.
Yeah.
And also because Colfax travels really well, and there was just this coalition of every single District 4 team watching Kalama. So it was just, the stands were absolutely jammed. It was a really good time.
All right. Josh, how are things at your house? We already talked about furniture, but, is it warm? You strike me as a guy who's got the heat up a lot.
Not too often, but, I mean, it's good. I was back after a long time off, and it seems to still be standing there.
That's good. If it wasn't, if your house was cold and you wanted it to be hot, or alternately, if your house was hot and you wanted it to be cold, you know what you call? You're goddamn right. AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. They are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at their emergency line.
Should have said the roof doctor. Deep cut.
That crossover audience is just chuckling at that one. AmeriCool Heating and Cooling. You can call them at 360-273-3300. Your comfort is their business. They offer full service HVAC installation services and repair, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee with everything we do, much like we offer on this very podcast. AmeriCool Heating and Cooling does great work, and if your house is either too hot or too cold, give them a call. They will fix it. And now I guess we should preview the state football quarterfinals. Yep. I have prepared some betting lines for you guys.
All right, we'll see.
You can
we'll
weigh
see
in
about these
and pick whatever you want here. So in the 1Bs, Mossy Rock, after a bye week,
a much needed bye week,
is facing Liberty Bell in Tenino at 1 o'clock Saturday. I've got Mossy Rock favored by 5.5 and an over-under of 99.5 points.
I don't think so.
You're taking the under?
Yeah, probably.
Are you taking Mossy Rock in the spread?
Yeah. So few of these games are like both teams are high scoring. Most of them are just like somebody scores a lot of points.
We'll take the under then.
Yeah, I'll take the under.
Okay. Alec?
I'm going to take the over.
Good.
And Mossy Rock covers.
I will say that's a much needed buy from Mossy Rock, talking to them, talking to Eric, their coach. Here is my controversial AmeriCool hot take of the week that'll make some people mad.
You. Wait.
There's such a delay on that.
Yeah. I know. It's not perfect.
My hot take that will make people here mad. If I am a coach of a high school sports team, as soon as November rolls around, I am gently asking my players to start wearing masks, because the amount of teams that we've had whose state runs were derailed by just everybody getting the cold or the flu is way too high.
Interesting.
There's a lot of them.
Like you look
talked to
like
a lot of coaches about it.
And Mossy Rock is the prime example. Mossy Rock got their trophy, their second place trophy against Oakdale and Yakima, and just walking off the court, I had to have seen like 3 bottles of Dayquil and ibuprofen, and they were just like, they were not in great shape. And as it happens, the football team that goes to school with them was also not in great shape, and just so happened to be insanely lucky that they had a bye instead of the state championship game on Friday. Like, I was talking to Eric, and Eric told me straight up, we would have lost if we would have had to play Friday because we had no healthy players. Like, this is a bad time to be getting sick, people.
Yeah. I mean, for general
Put 'em in
public health
hazmat.
reasons,
Yeah.
but also
Put them in
especially the
hazmat
football.
suits. Come on.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
It's football season.
I know masks aren't fun, but like
Kids just
yeah.
quit going to school.
Do what you can.
Do your homework, eat, go to bed.
Exactly.
That's it. Don't talk to anyone.
Yeah, but yeah, no, really, really good time for Masiarok to get a bye week.
All right. The winner of this game moves on to the state semifinals, where they will face either Nacelle or number 1 Odessa. Interesting.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
Little eyebrow raise from you there.
Yeah.
And this game's
fun.
we thought this game was going to be at Centralia, which would have made things nice and easy for us. And instead, it's at Tenino at the same time as every other game.
Yeah.
Great for us.
So, all right. In the 2B bracket, Friday night at 7 o'clock in Montesano, Raymond South Bend and PL Valley fight. And I've got PL Valley favored by 8.
PL Valley goes into the cupboard and finally gets to take its gloves out again.
Exactly. And an over-under of 47. Alec, how do you feel about that line?
I think that's a decent line.
You going
think-
over or you going under?
The score,
What's the score
what was it,
last-
47? The score last time was 28-14, so that's 42 points. I think it'll be low scoring. I would take the under, and I think I'd take Raymond South Bend to cover. I think this is a dangerous, dangerous game for PWV. I think they won soundly the time before when they were kind of rolling and they'd beaten a couple teams pretty badly in a row. They've played one game since they beat Raymond South Bend a
Yeah.
month ago.
So they remember them.
They do. But they also played them a month ago, and they played one game since then. It was against Adna, and they won 54-0. But it's been a while since they've played football. Like, I was the one tasked with talking with Josh Fluke, and he said, well, I tasked myself, but
It's a chore.
but he said, he said it sort of felt like the beginning of the season again. Like they had those 2 forfeited wins against Forks and Rainier, and then they had Adna, and then they had another bye week just due to the way the tournament was set up or the playoffs were set up. So I think it's a dangerous game with Raymond South Bend kind of coming in with some momentum. It is hard. I know it's cliche, but it is hard to beat a team twice. It is especially hard to beat a rival twice. That's I think I would put PWV on upset watch here. I think this is going to be a really tough game for them.
Since these teams played on October 15th, PL Valley won that one 28-14, like you mentioned. Raymond South Bend has lost 54-0 to Napavine. They have beaten Morton White Pass 48-34. They have beaten Kalama 48-42. And they have beaten Goldendale 22-7. So they've had a lot of things going on.
They've been rolling. They've been rolling. And again, it's just like the teams are so familiar with each other. I mean, they know each other so well. I think my biggest qualm with the way the 2B bracket was seeded was this matchup happening in the quarterfinals. The other thing too is what makes it awkward is the best field that's closest to both those schools is in South Bend.
Yeah.
And you're damn sure PWV didn't want that game in South Bend, so they put it in Montesano. So yeah, it's just not, this was the one thing that I think the seating committee really should have avoided. I mean, these are like crosstown rivals that are playing each other in the second round of state.
Yeah.
So they could have flipped a couple things around, but it is what it is. I think it'll make for a very, very good football game.
All right.
I'll take PWV in
Oh
the
yeah,
over.
what's you're taking
And the
PV?
over?
Oh, wait, the over is 60. Wait, 47. Yeah, I'll take PWV in the over.
All right. Next game, Onalaska versus Okanagan in Wenatchee, noon Saturday. The over-under is a big 65 points, and Okanagan's favored by 17. I don't know who set that line at 65, but that's quite
That
high.
is a high.
That's
very
high.
high.
Thoughts, fellas?
Definitely the under.
Yeah, fair. Might have been a
I'll
typo.
I'll repeat what I said last time. I love this if I'm on Alaska.
Yeah, they loved it. I was talking to Maz. They loved
I'm
this.
so happy with this matchup.
Yeah. They're loving this year, I think. I really think they truly are actually underdogs in games, you know? Where like last year, like Maz was just bullshitting on us with like, oh, we got to go in with the under. Like, no, you're not. Like,
But also, like,
But this year they like actually are.
well, and
yeah,
like
they
last
are.
year, you're the when you get your crack at like the number 2 or number 1 team in the state, and after like 3 years in a row of it either being Napavine or Klamath, it's like, oh look, we get to play somebody new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And I know they love going to the other side of the state and playing football, so I'm sure they're loving this matchup. I do think that Okanagan's a really good football team.
yeah.
People have been saying that.
I'm not sure
It's really going to be a matter of when it's first, can Onalaska get those 80-yard drives?
Yeah.
And second, can they finish with the 81st yard
Yeah.
and put it in? Because they can't afford to have. They're only going to probably get 3 or 4 good drives against a team like Okanagan, and you have to score on all of them.
Okanagan has not played a close game this year.
Very
They have-
Napavine-like. Yes.
Yeah, they beat Chewelah 34-7. That was their closest game. Powerhouse Chewelah.
Hey, number 4 seed Chewelah.
Number 4 seed
Put some
Chewelah.
respect on their name.
All right, moving on to the next game. Toledo versus Chewelah in Moses Lake.
Back in Moses Lake.
Saturday at 3 o'clock. Nice home game for Chewelah, hosting this in Moses Lake, 2.5 hours away from...
It's the second straight year that Toledo's gone to Moses Lake, too. I asked Mike Christensen, I was like, you're practically local. What do you do in Moses Lake? And he was like, play football, I guess.
This is 3 o'clock on Saturday. The over-under is 44.5 points, and Chewelah favored by 3.5. How do you guys feel?
I'll take Toledo to cover and win, and I'll take the over. I think Toledo's going to win convincingly.
Yeah, but I think they'll take their time to score. So I think Toledo.
I think they will, but I think
Toledo in
they'll
the
pull
under.
away and they'll put on points.
Yeah, Toledo, what would like 27-10 be? That would be under. I'd take the under.
All right.
They're worried. Apparently, yeah, Chewelah spreads it out a lot. So that's kind of the thing you have to worry about. Lots of angles, lots of tackling in space.
Yeah. All right, in our final 2B game, we're concerned with Napavine versus Liberty, Saturday, 1 o'clock in
You know who
Tumwater.
plays? You know who Liberty's quarterback is?
No.
Former Rainier standout.
Oh, the Jeske kid? Oh,
Jake
interesting.
Jeske. Isn't that interesting?
Do
Transfer
you
to
think
get playing
he's
time.
like, state playoffs, who do we have? Damn it. The over-under is 42.5 points.
Are you going to change that with knowing Jeske's over there?
I am not, and I've got Napavine favored by 27.
Who makes these lines?
Vegas is crazy for this one. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, when I was talking to Josh Fay, he said the biggest challenge that they're going to face is containing Jeske. He's a stud. He's only gotten better since he was a standout at Rainier. So he's gotten bigger, faster. Apparently, his acceleration is definitely something they're monitoring. So he's kind of the head of the snake. And they played him before, so that'll be kind of the focal point of the game. I think. I don't want to talk about the line.
Yeah.
But I think
I'm just going to say that
Napavine's going to win comfortably.
I'm just going to say that this combination of line and over-under has Napavine finishing with, I think, 35 points. So I'm going to take the over.
I definitely take the over, and I think Napavine will win convincingly.
Yeah.
The line was set with how many touchdowns are likely before Napavine hits the running clock.
Well, to hit the running clock, they would need to score at least 40 points.
Yeah. So then 42 would be 6 times.
So you don't
7.
think Liberty's going to score?
I mean, I don't know.
But that would make the
doesn't
line.
give up a lot of touchdowns.
That would
Take
make-
Jeske, though.
But that would make the line.
What? You keep saying that.
That would
Come
make.
on, he was
They only
good.
beat Riverview 28-14.
Riverview.
Riverview.
But also, that would make the line 38, and it's 27. So you're expecting Liberty to score.
Just place your bet, man.
I already did. Do some math, man.
No. Moving on to the 2As. Cedro Woolley versus WF West in Centralia, 1 o'clock Saturday. Over under 49.5 points. Cedro Woolley given 6.5 for this one. So WF West favored by 6.5. I'll take Cedro Woolley to cover. What the hell?
I think I'd
Yeah.
take Cedar Willie to cover, too. I think this is going to be a really tough test for WF West.
I also think it's going to be an under.
What you said it at?
Take the under.
No, but what was the...
49.5.
What was their last game? 29-28.
Yeah.
So that's 57 points. I'll go.
I think it'll be a defensive game,
Yeah, I'll take the under on that.
but I think it's going to be this. I think this is the game I'm most interested in this week. I think it's going to be interesting to see how WF West responds after a really tough test last week.
I think it's interesting to seeing how they responded last week, because the thing that struck me is, even though Dan Hill said the ways they got there weren't really the same, that what Cedro Woolley did to Tumwater reminded me a lot of what WF West did to Tumwater, right? WF West blitzed them. It was 28-0 right off the bat. Cedro Woolley blitzed Tumwater. It was 37 right off the bat, and they ran out of time. Seeing things go wrong for WF West during a season that nothing's gone wrong for them since week 2, I think it was interesting to be able to see them, dig deep and find something to pull it out, which I think was honestly something they needed.
Yeah. I think a little bit of that test too could be good for them, but it'll still just be, again, this. We're used to WF West being a good football team, but not really top 4 in the state good as of yet. So this is the test for them.
And Cedro Woolley is definitely like the Ani of two. Like everything we say about District 4 2Bs, District 1 2As.
Right.
Like the third best. You take the third best team from that league and you send them out and shave, a touchdown off whatever the line would be, because they're going to play above their seeding.
I'm sure they're thrilled with, going to Tumwater.
I don't know. Apparently,
to Centralia
it took them like 2.5
teams.
hours to get to Tumwater last week, so that could have been fun. So.
I know, but I just mean going down and just kind of single-handedly knocking out all the
District 4 teams.
The District 4 FCO teams is definitely probably something that they relish. But I think this is a really interesting game for WF West and for the coaching staff to prepare for. I don't think they're the 10th best team or 8th best. I think if you were to reseed it, they're good.
Yeah.
All right, that's all of them. The
That's it. We're
winner
done.
of that game plays either North Kitsap or Anacortes in the state semifinals.
And WF West, if they won, that would also be here, somewhere near here.
Wow, imagine that, making
And
the
it would
state
be
semifinals and going to Centralia.
Oh, well,
better
that's
than
how Josh
Linden.
Fay would have it.
Yeah, true. What do you guys know what you're covering? Are they all Saturday? We got Friday.
Some of them
There's
are
one
Friday.
Friday game. I am going to go to Montesano to cover that PWV RSB game because it's the only super local game. Josh is going to the Tumwater soccer semifinal in Shoreline.
And then
After visiting his second home up there in
Yeah,
Seattle.
of course. I mean, you gotta check on the cat, water the plants, that kind of thing.
I mean, that second home in Seattle is the only reason I get to do it, because we can stay up overnight and then be back there the next day. I think
Maybe.
yeah. The plan is if Tumwater soccer, the state final is 5 p.m., the third place game is 1 p.m. So right now, tentatively, if traffic doesn't suck, Friday night I'll do the soccer semifinal. I'll come south to Tumwater for the Napavine football game at 1, and then go back to Seattle for, if Tumwater wins, for the state final. That'll be my Friday, and
I'll probably go to
we will be racking
WF
up the
West.
mileage.
Love that
boy.
mileage. You want to do a game? There's 3 local ones. You could go to Mossy Rock in Tenino.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go see the menu on Saturday
Why?
because it looks awesome.
Could be
It does
watching
not
Mossy
look
Rock.
awesome.
The menu?
It looks bad.
It's Voldemort killing people at a restaurant,
about?
right?
yeah, it
What's
is.
your big winter movie coming out that you're excited
Babylon.
about? Well, yeah, everybody said about Babylon. It's
Also,
only
is
4 hours long.
are we just
Yeah.
calling is the twist of the menu that people are on in the menu? Like they cook people in that
No,
restaurant,
that's
right?
the twist of Bones and All.
Yeah, but also this one.
Also
like,
this one.
Like
It's
gotta be, right?
Voldemort is killing
Probably.
people and then cooking them in the dishes.
Yeah, maybe it's gonna be sweet. Anyway,
Anya Taylor-Joy's in it.
yeah. Is that why you were watching The Northman to prep for the menu?
Maybe. Eggers has to have a new movie coming. Oh, he's doing a Nosferatu movie.
Oh yeah, that's the most Eggers movie I can imagine.
It's going to be weird.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna wrap up Chronicle movie dump there, and we'll talk to you after the next round of the playoffs are concluded.